slower computer, so you may see a little bit of glitching, but I think the audio should be okay. I mixed computers on this. But anyways, we are, for the first time, using a new system, which is, let me see here, I can put up the system and show you there in the branding. Here we go, come on. Oh, it's not wanting to do that. But anyways, we do have the ability to put up stuff on the, here we go. Come on, there we go. You can see, I'll take this down. For those of you who don't know what the system's about, this is called StreamYard, and it's actually hooked to what's called Restream, and that's how we're getting the ability to stream live to the internet. Basically, we're streaming live, so even if you're watching via StreamYard, you should be able to go to our pages here. I'll put them up there. If you go to one of these, facebook.naturalacid.org or youtube.naturalacid.org, I would recommend you subscribe to those, and that will allow you to, in fact, I need to check to make sure I'm not streaming to my channel as well, because I'm not supposed to be doing that today. So I will go and take a look at that while we're waiting for more people to come in. But we are using, again, StreamYard and Restream. So I'm going to check Restream real quick and make sure I don't want to stream to my channel today. That will be in a different day. But we should be streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. And my computer is going to be a little bit taxed today, so I do apologize for that. I'm looking to try to get a new one. Money doesn't grow on trees. So let me take a look at this real quick. Make sure we are streaming, in fact. And once I see this, we'll get out of it. Make sure. All right. Alrighty. Anyways, again, I welcome everybody to this. Let me, again, give me a second to see the streams. Making sure. Should be live. I'm going to check my phone as well. You can check your phone if you're a person who's watching right now. But I don't know. You can also do the chats. There's comments. So if any comments are come through from the YouTube, we can get those comments. I'll show you something that looks like. In fact, maybe Franklin put a comment in there in YouTube or Facebook. Franklin's is you would normally who here. He is our normal guy. And oh, here we go. We have Superfin Guy, loud and clear here. Hey, thank you, Superfin Guy. So that's pretty neat. You can really see this system. StreamYard allows us to see people's comments and make a comment. So if you are joining us from YouTube or Facebook, welcome. We are streaming live, and you can put in your comments. And if there's some comment that looks interesting to us to, or you want to comment on what's being talked about. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in, let me get rid of the branding here. Just getting you our logo here, because we are the CMPS. We are an organization whose idea is to support people who are critical thinkers outside the mainstream, and give them a forum to get together, to not be intimidated by people who won't accept different ideas. So that's what we want to do. Why don't you, Franklin, can you put your video on, that would be cool. And we'll go ahead and maybe talk. And I want to say hello to Franklin, and maybe he can tell you a little bit about what these Saturday mornings are. We are going to have some discussions later on with the some of the news. I thought it'd be interesting. One of the things I've done in my channel is to do news, and the news of the day in mainstream is often opens up quite a lot of conversation in the dissident community. Get your head a little higher there, Franklin. But I'll get him here. I'll add him, and there he is. Let's get us on equal footing. But I think you're eating your breakfast, right? Because you're on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock
and I'm on the East Coast. I remember when we did this for many years. I was in California, so we had to do it from the West Coast. And this is new. This is probably going to be more seen in video recordings than anything. But I haven't checked. Did you give a check to see if we are live on Facebook at all? Or not?
I'm overtaxing my system right now, though. I don't see the live link on YouTube. I do see that there's a flag for Facebook. Let's see here. So I'm seeing whether I can get onto there. So welcome everyone to our new platform.
Yeah,
so please have patience with us today because we're just trying this out for the first time with everybody.
Right. I'm going to take a look here on YouTube.
Now it's either my system's really slow because I'm actually running like 5 video streams on my PC trying to monitor things here. But so far it hasn't shown up yet.
Oh no, I just got it right now. I got an alert that says live. It was on my phone. It says right here, live. You can see that right there. Alert. It says right there, watch live now, John Chappell, Natural Philosophy Society. So that's from YouTube. I'll go there and see what happens. Oh yeah, and I hear myself. Oh. So, yeah, okay.
So it looks like Facebook is, Facebook is working. So I just sent a comment through.
Okay. Live YouTube notification here. I see it on Facebook. Let's see here. There it is. John Chappell John from before has sent us a message. And I do have, at the top, I do see one person. That's probably you. This is new. This is the way it normally goes. But yeah, it's working pretty well. Why don't you, because this is recorded, why don't you speak a little bit about, for those people that may be watching this or will watch this that normally haven't been here. First I'll introduce you to Franklin. Franklin's a member of the CNPS, the Chappell Natural Philosophy Society. He is our moderator for the Saturday morning chats, and I think video chats, which we've been using Fuse, and you can see those recordings on YouTube. But of course now we don't have to do that because this gets recorded directly to YouTube. And he's been doing this for a couple of years and about a lot of different subjects. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what goes on? You do have speakers often giving talks, correct?
Yeah, that's true. So this is just set up to be a regular meeting that happens every week. So if you're like me, and I am, I like to talk to other people about science topics. And so that's what this is, the Saturday Science Chat is generally available for. And so if you have a theory that you wanted to talk about, we can feature you on the Science Chat. And we'll give you typically it's like an hour, you can do a presentation. And then the second hour is usually spent doing Q&A and asking questions and just interacting. But the primary focus is just to get together people who are like-minded, who are not going to just like nuts for thinking something different. And we're always here to listen to what your ideas are and to toss them around. So that's what we're here for.
All right. Well, that's good. All right. And I did get a question, I think, here. See if I can do there. The question is, how do I join? Well, there's a couple of ways. We only have so many people that can join in live stream or StreamYard. StreamYard, I think, allows us 6 people. I'll show you another person here. I can bring them up. This is Mr. James Keene. Hello, Mr. James Keene.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Yeah, and he's joined through Stream. I'm going to pull you down again, but he's joined through StreamYard.com. And the way you get to StreamYard.com is, let me show you how you can do that. I don't think I have a banner for that, but I will put that there. Let me edit this here. Okay, you would go to http :// come on, edit, there you go. I'm going to type it in, put on the screen. So I'll give you that, guys. And I'll have these there from now on. But you go to live.naturalphilosophy.org, and that will get you to a very special one-time. This is a little different. You can't set up a permanent one. So what I've done is I have what we call subdomain forwarding. The subdomain live.naturalphilosophy.org will get you to this stream. But what you then do, if you log in, you can be a participant. That is, I can put you up to talk, to chat, whatever. So if you're interested in actually joining in the conversation, you go to live.naturalphilosophy.org. If you just want to participate, listen, and then even ask questions without really talking, then you go to facebook.naturalphilosophy.org, which will take you to our Facebook page, and you should see our live stream there, because on Facebook, on our page, they always put those live events at the very top. Or you can go to youtube.naturalphilosophy.org, and then you can also get to our YouTube page, which will then show you our live. And then you click on that, you'll see exactly what you're seeing here. And some of you may be watching it already, and that will allow you to listen in, and then we will be discussing topics. We then, as the moderator, I get to see the comments coming through from Facebook or YouTube. And once somebody types those in, we can choose to answer those or ignore them. But that's sort of the idea. So right now we have 0 people on, from what I said. There is a counter right there, which tells us how many people are live. So right now we don't have any, but that's... I did a live show on my YouTube channel, and I did get 1 or 2 people in the first few weeks, and then after that. But these are the people who are, how do you say, people that would come in. The idea with this whole new system, for those who are in the CMPS, is that, I'm going to mute you there. For the CMPS, is that we want to draw new people into this and see our discussions, and they'll get used to this being on. And once people get used to us, find where we are, that's something that is, speaking of that, a guy here, let me go ahead and put them up. My 2, I'm on mine. I apologize for that, because my computer is a little bit older. It says I participated once. This is a great. I agree. We are one of the things about with the people we are, our organization pays trips, and those organizations will, that organization helps foster these types of video conferences. And we paid for Fuse, but Fuse was a pretty high price, between $300 and $400 profit. And now they have added an additional month, which is almost $40. Our memberships are $35 and $50. And if you haven't become a member, it really does help. It pays for all these things. It pays for our website. It pays for our video streaming. And and that in our website alone has the server to pay. We have security now because we got hacked quite a bit because of, we're sort of controversial because of our science. So thank you very much, Superfin Guy. Greatly appreciated. Again, this is going to take time, folks. This is not going to happen overnight. These things, like anything, take time. A lot of people perhaps who are normally here are probably, like I said, getting frustrated with the system and telling us about how this isn't working. But again, what I would recommend, and I would ask anybody who's joined through StreamYard who does not plan on in participating, it just cuts down on the bandwidth and all of that stuff. If you do plan to participate and talk, then it's great. Really, the glitching is on more my computer than anybody. So if you see glitching, it's not the system, it's not Stream, it's my year-old computer. So anyways, I greatly appreciate everybody's attention, and we have Nick Percival's here. Dennis Allen's here. Wow, I guess we go more than, I think they allow 10. Tolga Yarman, professor, is here. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get us started on a topic here. And again, I may end up moving to my other computer for the next time, or we may have to see how that works, because we are in browsers and our browsers are only so fast. But I'm going to share a screen here. All righty. And that share screen is right here. Let me get that. Done. Yeah, I'm going to need a better computer for sure. I think the audio always defaults that the audio works. Hopefully it doesn't glitch that. Yeah, but I've been looking to see if I can get some funds to get a new computer, but that may not happen though. Okay, I'm going to choose the screen. It's going slow on my computer here. Hold on. This is the difference between a new system like this and, of course, Fuse. Fuse has its own application, so this is using browsers. Wow, come on. Okay, I got it. Bear with us, folks. This is our first time using the system live for this long time here. I did test it live the other day, but we didn't have so many people hanging in. Again, if you are in StreamYard itself is bothering you to participate necessarily right now, to YouTube or, okay, so I think I can do this here. Someone trying to enter, it says right now, yeah, it's full. We are full now. Start getting complaints, I'm sure. I'm going to get Franklin down because people are now trying to enter into StreamYard and they're not going to be able to. All right. All right. So again, I'll say it one more time. I'm Dave D. Hilser. I'm with the CMPS. And if you are here right now, maybe we can go over some of these articles here, but we are full in our StreamYard. So I can't tell people to go to YouTube or Facebook when they're not here, obviously. So they're either going to have to find that out for themselves or, like I said, head off, but so again, I'm going to show you the links. Here you go. And so if you are here in StreamYard, maybe you could jump off for now. You can come in anytime again, but if you jump out, that will certainly help the bandwidth on my computer, unfortunately, because I get to see everybody. Okay, so let's look at what we're talking about today, and that is the news. There's one that, of course, there's a couple of them that I think are really interesting. And this is the Google News. It's going to move slow, and I do apologize. All right, here we go. There's some headlines here. Physicists finally nailed the proton size and hope dies. That's because I read a little bit about that. There's predicting what's going on. Bye-bye space-time. Is it time for physics for free physics from Einstein's legacy? That's a New Scientist News. That one, New Scientist News, is not a real big magazine, whereas let's go teaching. Here's one that's interesting. Focus Teaching Energy Before Forces. That's in physics, probably.com or Physics Magazine. Of course, we have the unknown physics, darkest mystery of the cosmos deepens. Those are cosmological things, but I think I had one I wanted to take a look at, but let's see. Quantum physics is fine. Human bias about reality is the real problem. One of the things about physics today is that I have a meme that I made, and I say it's not the universe that's complicated and paradoxical. It's our theories and models, and in fact, that's what this is talking about. The exact opposite. Now, Forbes has, believe it or not, which is a financial magazine. Forbes has a part where they do have some authors who do physics, and that is pumped out there once in a while. I think it's just because people are in science, they want to go ahead and take a look at and keep up with what's going on in physics. So they'll have people. One of the, I don't know, I think it was Forbes that had Sabina Hossenfelder, who was the physicist who left the Large Hadron Collider to write the book Lost in Math. But I'm going to take a look at this. Quantum physics is fine. Human bias about reality is the real problem. It is going to be the opposite of what I've been and what we do in our group, the CMPS and other dissident or critical thinker groups, is that as we're looking for simpler models, and we believe that the standard model, many of us believe that the standard model, quantum mechanics, dark matter, that kind of thing, is pretty, how do you say, it's not, it's very problematic. In fact, quantum mechanics is quite problematic. So I'm going to go to that article here. I'm going to click on it there. So you should see that coming. It takes some time. Again, I apologize. We're using the new live system here. And hopefully we'll get people who are watching more online as well, maybe catch even a few new people. That's the idea. So again, bear with us. If it's the case what we need, we know we have to do certain things to make our computers run better so we can host this. It's not going to affect what you're seeing at all, because that comes from the server and the stream that they have. So we're waiting for that to come up. Here it's starting to come up. You don't see that yet. If you have any comments, I don't see any comments here. Complaining about the new system. So let me click on it. It's taking a lot of time. I have a computer that I have for work, but I don't think I can use it. It's quite good. See, I've left stream and switch Facebook. Thank you so much, Jim. That does help out quite a bit. And again, we can, if you're interested in talking, when we get to a point where we want to do talking, I think that would be totally fine. But right now, it would be appreciated. Also, people, if you can turn off your videos, that would be good too. That'll keep the bandwidth down until. All righty. Thank you. All right. My slow computer, and I am absolutely. I need to find a better computer when I do it, for sure. So I'm gonna. It's taking a lot of time because I think it's has to go through my. There it is. Should be coming up. All right. The article itself says, by creating two entangled oh, okay. This is a picture they're showing, but you can't. I don't think it's so. At least it's not mine. I don't know if somebody is actually seeing this, but I'm going to start reading this article. Whether you can see, and I apologize for the computer. All right. All righty. Come on. Yeah, it's funny because when you're actually going live stream, then it does my computer slowing down. We do have a laptop computer that's a little bit newer than for the scene to try to. So understanding the universe, scientists have taken two approaches in tandem on the measurements and observations of results are. For those people who want to follow along, because this is taking a lot of time on my side because of my slower computer. These articles can be found on Google News. Go to Google News, click on Science, and then click, and then you can follow along. Yeah, absolutely going to have to get a really good. And it says, we obtain a suite of data models. It's flying around on me. I'm scrolling. I have to click on the scroll machine. Takes about to get there. So see if anybody is seeing the or not, because what's happening on mine, because of the slower computer, I'm seeing it's not displaying this. Okay, it's not what I'm seeing here on this window. Let me see if I bring it down and bring it back up again. That one. Okay. All righty. I've stopped sharing. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to see what I can do to get this down now, because otherwise people are going to be, I'm sure, going around. Oh, and again, I apologize for this. Use this system and I am using it for the first time. Trying to do 7 things here at once. But I'm going to get rid of sharing, because when I did this with 1 or 2 people, it was fine. But again, it's sort of like what I'm going to go to my phone. And again, what you would do is you go to news.google, and when you go to there, you can click on Science, and then go there. You can then click on physics, and you will see the articles we're working on. Yeah, the talking to Super Fin guy. Yeah, he's saying this is the interesting part. He's saying those clickbait titles are hilarious. Now, of course, if you guys are less in tune with the internet and how it's working, well, clickbait is basically they try to make titles that will get your interest and get you to click on it. And so what he's saying is these titles, give you some of the titles. Physicists finally nail the proton side and hope dies. You can hear that, hope dies, finally nail the physicists. Another one, teaching energy before forces, which is pretty interesting. Teaching energy before forces. We know and talk a lot about this in the CMPS, and that is we talk about how energy is a concept. So let's see here. We got some more people. All right, we got some more. And there's another one, Super Fin guy. Look, he says, planet-eating star lurking in a nearby cluster. Oh my gosh, the Earth could be next. Exactly. I mean, that's really the kind of things. That's what it says. It says planet-eating star could be lurking in a nearby cluster. But I'm going to go to the one that is on Forbes magazine, which is I'm back. My whole computer just crashed. Not come crash, but my browser crashed. It was probably better because it was really overloaded. So I do apologize. The comments are now gone, unfortunately. I've lost. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it doesn't recover. So again, I'm David D. Hilster. I apologize for that glitch. I think we're still good. I may have lost everybody, and hopefully they will be coming back. But if you can, those are our two websites. Let me show you the websites for getting here on Facebook and nope, that's not it either. Okay, I think we lost everything I had there. All right, well, that's what we're learning. Private chat here. Okay, we're still here. All right, cool. The growing pains of these new things, but actually it's working much better now. It got really bogged down. Maybe my computer had too much obviously going on, so it just totally saved everything. So right now it seems to be much better off. Let me get some banners up here. I had changed those, but obviously, so if you're already looking at it, but you wonder, come on. Yeah, it's working much better now on my side. Okay. This is facebook.naturalphilosophy.org. And then there's youtube.naturalphilosophy.org. again, I really appreciate it. Those who know this sort of what we're trying to do here, I think they understand that we're new to all this, and that's why things don't always work the way we want. But we are here at the CMPS Saturday Morning Science Chat, and we are looking at articles on physics. In fact, I'll do that. Why don't I do that for you? Get that, because right now I'm not sharing my screen because it turns out that was really bogging down my computer because it's older. So if you could go to news.google.com, we'll take a look at some of these. I'm now logged in as myself. Let me refresh that. I'll hit the physics button, and we were talking about let's see. We were talking about some of the articles, and Forbes had quantum physics is fine. Human bias about reality is the real problem. I have done an article about this subject in a couple of videos, but let me read this again to you guys. And again, you can follow along. You go to news.google.com. I'm reading the one, quantum physics is fine. Human bias about reality is the real problem. So when it comes to understanding the universe, scientists have traditionally taken two approaches in tandem with one another. On the one hand, we perform experiments and make measurements and observations, and the results are we obtain a suite of data. On the other hand, we construct theories and models to describe reality, where the predictions of these theories are only as good as the measurements and observations that they match up with. For centuries, theorists would tease novel predictions out of their models, ideas, and framework, while experiments would probe uncharted waters, looking to violate or refute leading theories of the day. With the advent of quantum physics, however, all of that began to change. Instead of the specific answers, only probabilistic outcomes could be predicted. How we interpret this has been the subject of debate that has lasted nearly a century. But having this debate that's lasted nearly a century. But having this debate at all may be a fool's errand. Perhaps the very idea that we need an interpretation is itself a problem. Well, every time I read one of these articles, I get all excited and think, oh my gosh, we're going to find somebody who is. Oh, wait a minute, are we live? We are live. Let me just double check to make sure we're live. I apologize. I'm going to go to StreamYard to see. Can someone check to see if we're live on Facebook and YouTube? I think we should be, but you never know. Could you check and come back in the private chat? No one. And if you are in YouTube or Facebook watching, please send me a comment so I know you're there, that this is working. Because again, it's something that is new to us. So, but going back to the article, it says, for thousands of years, if you wanted to investigate the universe in scientific fashion, all you had to do was figure out the right physical conditions to set up, and then make critical observations or measurements. The measurements that would give you the answer. Projectiles, once launched, follow a specific trajectory, and Newton's equations and motions enable you to predict the trajectory. Even in strong gravitational fields, close to the speed of light, Einstein's extension of Newton's theories would be have the same outcome, provide an initial physical conditions to arbitrary accuracy, so you get to know the outcome at any point in the future. Then they show you the famous cone. Again, I apologize. This is, the whole famous cone of time and observer in space. I mean, for those, again, you can follow along at news.google and go to this particular article, which is, again, the article says quantum from Forbes. But this if you look at this, it's got time on one axis, space on another, and this time cone. This is a really famous drawing. It says hypersurface of the present. This is where we dissidents, I mean, just totally, totally need to start disputing the absurdities that we have in physics today. The idea of space-time. Space-time is really a concept. It's not anything real. They call it the foam of space-time, the quantum foam of space-time, the rubber sheet, the fabric. But the problem is this kind of diagram where you just willy-nilly make coordinates of a concept, which is time, a space, which is really nothing. A space is a three-dimensional space. And in that space, then you put one axis as time going up and down. It's quite confusing, and it's one of the reasons that we dissidents just say, hey, this is all absurd. Let's just get back to physicality. Here are some of the things they talk about. Why did the universe appear to behave this way? Because the rules that govern it are best theories that we have concocted, describe what we measure and observe. All obeyed these same sets of rules. The universe is local, which means that an event or interaction can only affect its environment in a way that's limited to the speed of light or anything propagating through the universe, the speed of light. The universe is real, which means there are certain physical quantities and properties exist. Well, so far that's cool. The universe is deterministic, which means that if you set up your system in one particular configuration, you know that the configuration exactly, you can perfectly predict the system. So those are pretty good. Maybe this article doesn't turn out to be as bad as we think. Let's see here. We still see the last comment on the screen. We're still here. YouTube is live. Okay, thank you very much. So send any comments you guys have here. All right. So it says, we learn what we know about the universe by asking the right questions, which means setting up physical systems, then perform necessary measurements. Did I? No, I get. Okay. It seems like they're repeating themselves. Despite what we may have intuited before, the universe showed us the rules it obeys are bizarre. The rules it obeys are bizarre, but consistent. Well, one of the problems with even quantum mechanics is that quantum mechanics is based on the double slit experiment, basically, and the double slit experiment has these problems as if you put a detector to detect whether a particle or an electron or a photon is going through one slit or the other. They put a detector. They said that changes the observation, changes the what goes on, and they get into these bizarre things like history eraser experiments. If you've never heard about those, they're absolutely bizarre. The problem is we don't know what light is. We don't know what gravity is. We don't know what electromagnetic fields are physically in physics today, and yet we do these experiments. And when they talk about it's bizarre, it's only bizarre because without those any physicality to what's going on, the explanation they get, instead of saying that the detector they turn on affects the physics of the setup in such a way that what we see is a different pattern from the double slit experiment. Well, what's really going on is when you turn that detector on, it's changing the physics of the world and the experiment around it. But what they say is, no, it doesn't. We're just observing it. It's a neutral observer, and then we get into that problem. And so it's not that the universe is bizarre. It's our interpretation of bizarre because we don't know if we knew what light was, if we knew what electromagnetic fields and magnetic fields were, we would know how all those things would interact, and therefore the predictions, like he said, would happen. So what's happening is again, my thesis is it's not the universe that's paradoxical, it's our theories. What he's saying is that we're trying to look at the theories and we're trying to say that it's bizarre, but the universe is bizarre. It's not. So that's very different. That's very different. Okay. All righty. So let's go on. with this. It says, it's not surprising that the universe was made of indivisible fundamental units, quanta, like quarks, electrons, photons. What was surprising is that the individual quanta didn't behave as, like Newton's particles, well-defined positions, momentum, angular momentum. Well, it doesn't, because again, our model of the basic things in physics, we don't have any idea what it is. That's why so many dissidents look for ether models or particle models or lattice models, because all of this stuff, when we talk about it, for instance, in even indivisible particles, many of us in the CMPS subscribe to what is subscribe to the idea that we need to give physicality to everything, and that's where we need to start. And that's something I think that let me change this for you. That is something that I think like etherists will talk about. And when we look at it, and some of those who have these models, I was saying, follow Glenn Borker, and that is, you can't have an ultimate particle. But this guy talks about it. The universe was made of, okay, he says, was made of indivisible fundamental units, and then we find other smaller and smaller things. Now, whether or not, I don't even know if anybody has an idea what mainstream thinks. I don't know, but I'm going to put here, click on science, then physics. I'm putting here because I'm not sharing my screen because my computer's too slow. If you have a phone or your own computer, you can go and follow along in this article. And if you want to make some comments, you can, or if you're reading it and want to join in and discuss this with me, you're totally fine to do that, which I'm not sure is going to happen, but because this is the first time. And so let me give you what I have here now. So there it is, http://news.google.com, click on science, then physics, and you'll get this. And then this one is the one on quantum physics is fine. What was surprising is that the individual quanta didn't behave as Newton's particles. Again, depends on your model. We have models, several models. I know Glenn Borkert's and our model both are all Newtonian. So that's their model. Well-defined positions and momentum and angular momentum. Instead, these quanta behave like waves, where you could compute probability. And again, there's that wave-particle duality. My father came up with one solution to the wave-particle duality. Other people have said they've come up with solutions to that as well. But it says, but making a measurement only ever will give you one specific answer, and you can never predict what that answer you'll get for an individual measurement. The way I would look at that is, the reason in reality that can't happen is because the universe is if you believe in infinity, all the way up and all the way down, everything affects everything, and for us to predict where everything is and all its effects is very difficult, and especially if you're trying to measure it, because even the measuring devices interferes with that. Says this has borne out in the huge variety of experiments. A particle like an electron, for example, has an inherent spin or angular momentum of plus or minus 1/2. Now, I don't know if any of you have. I've asked some mainstream people what half spin means, and they says, oh, they're looking at the top part of the spinning, halfway up the electron. This is why people in our, oh, hold on. Here we go.
Oh, hey. So I think James wanted to join in the conversation.
Okay, awesome. That's totally great. And I apologize, guys. We're winging this today. I'm fighting all the all this stuff. So, it's going to be a very messy today. But James is James Keene.
Yeah, I think we need to just kind of set up some kind of convention so that for those people who want to make a comment in the show can somehow signal you. And
right.
So, but I think James has something to say. So why don't you go ahead and put him up?
Oh yeah, infuse. I can just speak. Period. See, there we go. They hate it already. Okay. Anyways, let me bring you down. I'll bring him up. Okay. Well, wait a minute. I can do this. Oh, we don't have I guess he can talk, but we don't see him.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, you can put your video on if you'd like.
Hello.
There you
Hi.
go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, James, I apologize. We're all new to this. I'm rambling, I know,
No need
but
to apologize, David. I admire, and I think all of us admire, that you're trying to break new ground in communications. And since we're scattered all over the globe, you are a pioneer in this. And don't worry, just keep plugging at it. And all I wanted
Well,
to
thank
add
you.
was to reinforce what you were saying, that in a recent video, I talk about a sort of a play on words. I call it "We Blame the World" after Michael Jackson's famous hit song "We Are the World." And it seems like it perhaps is similar to things you were saying maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago, that what quantum physicists have done, I'll be brief here, in the "We
Oh, no,
Blame the
go ahead.
World" theme, is to take their ignorance of things like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which I think is basically an observer effect, or ignorance principle, if you want to call it that,
I agree.
is to blame the universe. In other words, we're told that the universe, the world, our world, doesn't know where its constituents, the particles, are. It's
I love it.
indeterminacy of position. How dumb the world is that we live in. And we're told other things of a similar nature, that it's difficult to understand. Quantum mechanics is difficult to understand an outside common everyday experience. But I say, hey, ignorance is a common everyday experience. It's not something unusual at all. So I just wanted to throw that in. We can sing the song, "We Blame the World." We are the physicists. And it's not our fault that the world doesn't know what the hell it's doing.
Yeah, I know. Well,
I'm saying that the physicists don't know what's going on, and the world knows exactly what it's doing. And I'll be quiet now. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. No, stay up there. I think what's interesting is that I made this meme again. I'll repeat the meme. If you go to sciencewoke.org, if you haven't been there, go there. It's a really great. We've been actually getting a lot of reads. We're past 12,000 views of the pages there. But on there, I made this meme, and I put that out there once in a while on social media. And it basically says the simple phrase: the universe isn't complicated and paradoxical. Our concepts and our theories and models are. And that's basically what you're saying. I thought it's really interesting that you say that you said, I love that phrase. I'm going to make a meme. I'm going to take your picture and put your meme on that. I'm going to make you a meme. and this whole idea that, to think that the universe doesn't know where something is, it's just absurd. I don't know. Have you, James, have you read about the history erasing quantum mechanics experiments? Do you know about those?
I'm afraid not.
Okay. Well, let me explain. No, let me explain to them. It's really interesting. So because of the double slit experiment, which they don't understand, that when they turn on a detector, that it actually does change the experiment. They think they're just spying on where those things go. Well, when they get all these ideas that, okay, when I turn on a detector, it changes from a particle to a wave, or I can't tell which slit it's going through, but if I observe it, it changes. They literally take that concept to a ridiculous end. And then if you read some articles, they actually have articles with people who are physicists, who have PhDs from universities in front of people saying things like this: what this double slit experiment shows us, because observers change, that the only way we can explain it, there's a photon coming from a star 5 billion light years away. Now it's coming toward me, and it's going to go around a star because of the space-time curvature. Now, if it's going to come around that star, it may go on the left side or the right side. But because of what quantum mechanics experiment shows us, that the observer actually changes where that photon goes, we have this big philosophical problem. This is what they're saying to the audience. We have this big philosophical problem, that is, if I look at the the photons coming from that star and around another star. For me, it's going to go around the left-hand side of that star in between. And for you, James, it's going to go around the right-hand side. And that's a paradox. This is one of the things that we have to solve. Of course, it's just ludicrous that they're even bringing it up, but that's what it is. So they literally come to the conclusion in front of the audience. Again, if you haven't seen this, look up history erasing, quantum mechanics, double slit, that kind of thing. And basically they say that it's the consciousness of beings that observe the universe. Again, these are PhD physicists from universities talking about quantum mechanics. No, I know, but look it up. And that this collective consciousness comes together and decides that this time that photon went around the right side. They're called, and that they also said it's so bizarre that how could the collective consciousness.
Uh-oh. Seem to have lost, the video has frozen. Very interestingly, my video has not frozen, but Mr. Hilster's video has frozen. And I guess I'm getting no audio. Okay, you can hear me, but not Mr. Hilster. Well, that's not fair because he's the ringleader here.
Okay. No problem. Okay, what happened is internet connection here. I do have Wi-Fi, and I need to make sure my computer is actually going through the Ethernet cable, not the Wi-Fi. I probably didn't do that. But again, I recommend anyone really taking a look at that. Their history eraser, quantum mechanics. It's just so bizarre. I mean, go ahead.
What you were just saying a few moments ago, I think, is a quoting what other people had put forth as basically, I think, propaganda to support funding. Because as long as they can confuse people enough, they can confuse the politicians to fund multi-million dollars worth of equipment and ridiculous things like the Atlas and the Alice detectors and so forth underground with all of these super cool magnets and what have you, and get nice big fat paychecks for everybody, as long as everybody is properly confused. And as far as the we blame the world thing and what you were just saying a few moments ago, quoting this eraser history type of idea, I think is, again, egocentrism. It's almost back to the time when people were saying the Earth was the center of the universe and all these stars and everything were revolving around the Earth. I'll be quiet now. But again, I'm supporting what you're saying. And with regard to today's glitches and so forth, hang in there. You're doing an incredible service to bring us little blokes in different parts of the world together. And thank you. I mean, we didn't have this before David Hilster and Franklin Hu. So thank you, sir.
No. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. It's hard at times because we are not dealing with necessarily the youngest group. And oftentimes they're not like yourselves, James, who necessarily see what's going on. The other good thing is I get a lot of support from people who are the older guard of the MPA, so that's great. But we're definitely. I think this route is the way to go. We just got to get used to this new platform, and I think we will attract new people. But we got to be consistent and work on it. Get to know what's going on, knowing that this is an older 32-bit machine. I'm a computer scientist, don't know what's going to work or not. But anyways, yeah, absolutely. Here's another thing that I would say as well, and I talk about this a lot, that the reason it's good to have a confusing universe, and it's good to have a complicated universe. It's like Microsoft. It's the Microsoft way of doing business. Microsoft does business in a way that they say this: why is it so complicated to work on Windows and much easier to work on a Mac if you're a programmer? Well, the reason is because Microsoft makes most of their money helping you use their stuff. So you train people in what you're doing to help out. Those people who need to train to help out are those they pay their tuition fees to become trainers. Once they become trainers, they have to be retrained, and that costs money. For you to use the software, you have to pay licenses. It doesn't work. It's hard to use, so you have to hire the people that they were trained, and that just goes on and on and on. So anyways, that is certainly part of the scheme with physics, because what'll happen is, if I am a Neil deGrasse Tyson, or I'm Bill Nye the Science Guy, I make my living trying to explain these complicated, not the complicated universe, are complicated ideas about the universe, and to the layman, a lot of money. And those people, like you said, it's ego. So those people are going to say, I'm going to go to around like Neil deGrasse Tyson. So it's a huge ego. And he'll go around filling theaters, talking pontifically and saying clever things. And he makes a living because he's seen to be a giant brain in astrophysics, when in reality, one of my friends at work, who's not a physics person, but likes our group, he said, I looked up Neil deGrasse Tyson's background, and he really pretty much failed as an astrophysicist and went into the direction of being an astrojournalist, is what I call him. But anyways, so that was that article. I think that's a really great article. I also want to remind everybody about our websites. I'm going to put them up here. I'm starting to glitch a little bit because after a while, let's see. Hold on. I want to get rid of this here. I'm trying to kill processes on my machine here to try to get things better. Next time we'll have it done better, and we'll work on this. But if you haven't been to our site, especially sciencewoke.org, we are getting a lot of views on it. In fact, I can give you, if you haven't been there, I would recommend it and read it. Also, another thing I noticed, when you go to Facebook, if you read other Facebook pages, like Einstein Facebook page, I'm one of the top contributors there because I go in there, I put links to this stuff. And when I do, we have counts on the pages. So for those who want to know a secret about sciencewoke.org, go to sciencewoke.org, go under About, and you'll see a secret place that most people don't go and care to look at. I'm going there on my phone, using technology the weird way here today, but I'm going to go there, and it's called Page Views. So if you go to Page Views here on the science.woke, you will see here, this is today, 4 people have read The Galaxy Geometry Reveals No Need for Dark Matter. I actually put that link to that. There's the variable number system. Oh, that's somebody's interested in the variable number system. But if you go to that, you can see that. And then if you go further down, I think I do the first 30 or some ones that have been read today. But, the low days when you get 50 or 60 reads, and the higher days, we even had one over 1,000. And so we've had 13,469 views since we've launched this site, which is quite good. And it certainly gives people a way to go in a site that looks great on the phone, has really interesting articles. I've been putting articles up from one of my favorite writers in our group, if not my favorite, which is Harry Ricker III. He had written a bunch of articles for our other website, but no one was really going to see them, and he got sort of frustrated. And I said, don't worry, Harry, I'm going to republish them all in here. In fact, if you go to About, you can go to underneath About, you can get to our articles by people, and you can see, let's see here, editorial staff. And if you click on under editorial staff, you're going to get all the people who are writing articles for us. But Harry is a really great writer. I would really recommend. He wrote one, and I just put it up on Facebook, and that's about John Chappell. You can also see the latest articles by going there on the website and hitting latest. So it's quite a great site. It's really helping out. It's coming together with all the things we're doing, including here. and I hope to do this when I get a better computer. I want to start on my website. Doing this for my YouTube channel. I'm sorry, before we talk about another topic, just want to, keep people informed that things are really moving along. My father has his YouTube channel, just put out a new YouTube today, and I take that when a person puts out a new video like Jeff Yee or Nick Percival or myself or my father. We then take that, I take a little blurb, put that on Facebook. I think with Facebook, I don't know how many, John Chappell, how many people we have. We're still somewhat low on that, but it's not too bad. How many likes do we have? People following. We have 280 people like it, 303 following. It does grow. It's not growing really, really fast. Oh, I see us there. See, we are live. That's pretty darn cool. And our YouTube channel, I can show you. I'm going to show you some statistics. I usually show this on the screen, but since this computer is a little bit slower, I will show you this. It's a site called socialblade.com. Again, I'm just letting you guys know about how I know things are going well. Let's see. I've got counts here. John Chappell, we had, we're going live to John Chappell right now. There are 464 people subscribed to that channel, which means when we go live, they will get a notification if they subscribe and hit that little bell. I want to say, everybody listening here, please subscribe to YouTube. How do you do that? You got to have a Google account. So subscribe to YouTube, and then click on the little bell so that when you are somewhere and you got your phone out, you'll get this alert that says, oh, John Chappell is, we have Franklin. He's starting a new Saturday morning chat. Or also I would say go to my website or my YouTube channel and subscribe, not draft, Dissident Science. I am now up to, see, at the conference I was around 1,800. Since the conference, I am now have 2,219 subscribers. Quite amazing. I'm averaging 10 new subscribers a day. So I'm working on my videos, which sometimes take as long as a month. And I find that when I script them, put graphics in them, edit them, the retention rate, I keep half the audience all the way through. I had talked about this at the conference. If you didn't see it, go to our YouTube channel for the CMPS, take a look at it. So those of you who, I do have a question. James, you said you made a video. Do you have a YouTube site? I'm asking James that question. He's probably gone. Hold on. Let me get you up there.
Hi, can you hear me, David? Yes, I was banned from YouTube. And as you may know,
Oh, no.
A lot of conservative voices have been being banned from social media in this whole political censorship thing that people are talking about. I don't want to take sides there because
that's okay. Progressive.
Like
I'm on the progressive side. But on the progressive
at any rate,
side,
I'm talking about science only. And I was banned from YouTube. Right. And I looked up why I was banned. I didn't appeal it or anything. I just said the hell with them, if I could say that word, on a live stream.
Of course.
I just said the hell with y'all because I'm not going to appeal it or anything. All I'm doing is talking about my views concerning science. And I looked into why they banned things. I didn't have anything about violence or, those particular things that probably everyone would want to be banned. But so I said, well, why? And then I found, if certain powerful people, I add the word powerful in there, if certain people or organizations complain about your videos, then you can be banned. Now, so I'm speculating, I'm sitting here, well, who would complain about my work? Well, other labs that have lost in research excellence events or competitions, if you will, that binary mechanics lab, in my opinion, has won, and they want to complain, get me banned in order to prevent dissemination of what we're doing. This is why I'm so in favor of what you and Franklin are doing to allow us to have yet another platform and to bring us together, because who knows who might want to collaborate with who in the future. So
Yeah.
I'll be quite quiet there, but that's why. So, but on BitChute, yes, if you go to BitChute and look up Binary Mechanics Lab, binary where those three words have an underscore character between them. Binary Mechanics Lab. On BitChute, my latest video, the most recent one, is a real slam on this whole scheme. I criticize and say that there is no scientific merit at all, and show their budgets and everything. It's sort of an expose on CERN projects, focusing on Atlas and the Alice projects. I simply tear them apart. So if you want to go to BitChute, just look at the most recent video. It emphasizes what I'm calling the scientific merit spectrum, sort of like the electromagnetic spectrum, where we go from gamma waves all the way to long wavelength radio waves with the visible light in between. This is the scientific merit spectrum. And I'm saying in this most recent video on BitChute, again, the channel is binary_mechanics_lab, that they don't even get up to zero scientific merit. They're in the -1 category, which is right next to the -2 category, which is hoax. So you asked, and so I tell. I don't want to promote my own work unreasonably, but since you asked, that is the answer. Thank you.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute you. What you do, James, if you can send me a comment, a private chat even, I can put that up as a banner so people could go and take a look. This is a problem. I'm on the opposite side. I'm on the progressive side, but I don't care because I'm great friends with Greg Volk, who he and I politically, religiously could probably be very, pretty more opposite than we are, but I don't care because we talk about science. And that's the attitude we need to have. It's one of the reasons I even politically like to try to find candidates who bridge those gaps, because, I just think it's absurd. And so it happens all the time. In YouTube channels, I just started monetizing my YouTube channel, and I make about $1 a day. Maybe that'll help buy me a computer. But basically, those people on the progressive side, which I look at, they'll get banned if they talk about even like Tulsi Gabbard, because she's against the wars, and the war machine doesn't like that. Again, I'm not here to talk about politics, whether you like it or not, but I'm saying, they're banning. So if you talk about a subject they don't like, they will ban you. So I'm going to put this up. I'm going to copy this for everybody to take a look at. Again, politics. One of the rules we have, pretty simply, here it is. One of the rules we have that's, come on, show. There we go. One of the, oh man, it's going to be hard to type in, but you can, with the screenshot, if you're watching this recording, you can get that. If you type that in, James, if someone types that in on Facebook or YouTube, that will then be there for prosperity, as we say. But that's one of the things that our group is very good at. We say no conspiracy stuff, no religious stuff, no political stuff. All of it is scientific stuff. We don't care what your your religious background is. We don't care what your cultural background is. We don't care about your political background. We are interested in science. And I think one of the problems is the people often, if they don't believe like you, they call you a person who doesn't believe in science, which is a bunch of baloney. Like the climate change argument. We know for a fact, if you see my movie, if you haven't seen my movie, you can go see it at einsteinwrong.com. And in that movie, I do quote a study from the University of Michigan. And that study, it's a good movie. It's only $3 to see. Why does it cost money? Well, it's on a place because we had investors, and to respect those investors, it's on a video on demand system because it should be treated not just as a, free. So I think it's like $3 to rent. But anyways, in there, I cite a study where they had anonymously 3,000 scientists who admitted to changing the data to fit what they wanted for their outcomes so they could get more funding. And that's something that James was talking about, that his site or his videos on YouTube were going against that. And, it has nothing to do with truth in science anymore. The good thing about this, what we call woke movement on both sides of the political spectrum, where people are tired of the authorities and our politicians who are in the, who have, I'm not talking about politics, just in general, everybody is answering to the big corporations, not to truth. They're answering to money. And that's always a big problem. So if you haven't seen it, go to Einstein Wrong. And in there, I do quote that. So yeah, we should allow people who say there is no global warming or that it's just a phase. We need to allow all voices and let those voices be heard. So that is totally something that we need to look at. So let me go back. We still have some time here, and we are surviving here. And I do see us on there. So let me go back to the web page. I'm going to go here to Google News, and I'm going to get to another one that I saw that was pretty interesting. Here's one I'm going to go to. So if you haven't, again, see you right there below, right down there. I apologize. I can't show this on the screen because I get a super duper computer. Any of you guys out there who have some bucks want to chip in? I've thought about that. If everybody gave a little bit of money, I could buy a faster computer and do a lot more for this organization, because this computer is 5-year-old computer. Like I said, I've got a really good one for work, but it deals with data where I cannot use that in public. So here's one. It's called Unknown Physics. No, that's not it. Sorry. Bye-bye space-time. Is it time to free physics from Einstein's legacy? Now, when you see that, it's like, oh, wow, it's going to be an article that's just like us. It's going to question. And then you end up finding it isn't. That's what normally happens. So again, if you want to look that up, you go to news.google.com, click on science, click on physics, and then go to the one that says bye-bye space-time. So let's take a look at this. And of course, one of the things I talk about on my YouTube channel is right there. You see, they put all these amazing graphics. There you can see it. It's in focus. There's the amazing graphic that you see. And that's one of the big problems that people start thinking that the string theory is real, because we make these beautiful graphics and these beautiful 3D animations, and everybody goes, oh, it must be real. They spent the time to do that. No, you can make it look great, but it doesn't mean it's real. It's one part of the game that they play. Einstein's framework for the universe, space-time, is at odds with quantum theory. See, there's the problem. Quantum theory is a mess. It should just be thrown out. We need to have new models. We know that. Overcoming this clash and others is vital to unraveling the true nature of the cosmos. So there you go. This is what that one gentleman who was here probably got frustrated. Hopefully not. He calls it clickbait. What is clickbait? It's like bait, hook, you put on to catch fish. But clicking is what you do is on the internet, you click it. So the clickbait is when you put in these bye-bye space-time. I mean, you're going to say, oh, look at this. He's wrong. Anytime anybody says that Einstein could be wrong, that's clickbait, because it says, this person isn't going to necessarily say that. And in fact, they don't, because they say, well, we may have to throw it out for quantum theory. So let's go further down. Fundamental physics is in a funk, which is true, which is good. But don't worry, they'll get it back funked up. Oh, that's pretty funny, funked up. Its guiding program to explain things, ever more particles, has stalled, leaving 95.4% of the stuff of the universe that provides the dark matter and dark energy unexplained. Of course, there's another problem. It's dark. One of the red flags we, who like scientists, look for is when it's dark, right? Dark means I can't explain something. Well, it turns out that if you go to, for instance, go to Dissident Science, my channel, in one of my recent videos, it says Newton explains dark matter. Well, it's a number of our contentions in our group that you can explain what is considered to be anomalous. There's nothing anomalous in the universe. It's just that we have theories. We treat the galaxies as spherical gravitational fields, and they're not. If they were a spherical gravitational field, my argument is send a probe right toward the center of the galaxy. Is it going to go in a straight line? No, it's going to be going all over the place because of the curvature of all the stars, and so that the gravitational field, we know for a fact, is not uniform. And because in some Cameron Ribisol did a paper, again, this is in my YouTube videos, you can take a look. They found galaxies where they say there's no dark matter. Guess what? They're spherical. That's because all the stars are moving at the speeds that are predicted, because it's a uniform gravitational field. When you have a disk like this, there's a lot of gravity through that disk this way, unless it's not uniform. So because of that, we don't need dark energy and dark matter. All we have to do is, instead of using a uniform gravitational field, do what Ribisol does, is he broke it up into a cross, then those crosses into like bending pieces for the arms, did the calculations, and lo and behold, Newton himself explains dark matter. So we have, this article talking about, okay, 94.5% of the universe is dark matter. Of course, dark energy is a concept, so that makes no explaining. So, again, as we critical thinkers read these, this is some of the things I do on my own dissident show. So YouTube channel. What does it also say? What is more, the underlying theory of microscopic reality that physics serves up, quantum theory, represents a reality in form no one can get their hands around. Right? Of course they can't. They can't get their hands around because we have no theory, we have no model for light, and no model for gravity, those kinds of things. It says, yes, Einstein. One way or another, you can't dodge the web he created. In seeking new answers to the age-old question of what space and time are, theoretical physicist Sean Carroll has to confront Einstein's legacy of an interwoven, highly malleable space-time that underlies general relativity. Look at what they're saying, folks. This is like, I'm now doing like what I used to do on my YouTube channel before I scripted everything. It's like, listen, Einstein's life of interwoven what? Are they filaments now? Is space-time filaments? Highly malleable. Is it like a foam or a paste or clay? Space-time. Of course, space-time, space is a three-dimensional place where things are, and time is a concept we use to measure movement. Basically, it's a man-made kind of thing. So, underlies general relativity. So that's what's underlying general relativity, and they don't even talk about it as a problem. With the delicious irony, Carroll's new ideas invoke a brainchild of Einstein, but one he invented to be disowned. Quantum entanglement, derided by Einstein as spooky action at a distance. Again, it's spooky action at a distance because we don't have any model for light. Is it an ether? Is it waves of particles like in the particle model my father and I are working on? Is it a lattice like other people are working on? I think Ron Hatch has looked at lattice theories, also Bruce Nappy. What is it? At least in our models, we have some place to go before we call it spooky. There's nothing spooky in the universe. But of course, the new idea is invoked. So you also, one of the things, I'm just going wholly dissonant science is on everybody here. Sorry. So what I do a lot of times. Basically, you have also these people saying it's ironic, new ideas, delicious irony. All of these things are used to enflower these things and make them. So the idea is this author is trying to make their niche in writing flowery language about these high concept things. And of course, they try to protect Einstein. They go, has to confront Einstein's legacy, and with a delicious irony, invokes some of the brainchild of Einstein. We don't want to throw him out. We don't want to say that he was completely wrong, which many of us say, which is ironic, like Glenn Borkert said. What other theories today in science have probably 10,000 people who have spent decades looking at relativity, and all come, 99% of those people coming to the conclusion that it's a flawed theory. So anyways, going back here. Yes, we got Einstein was both general relativity's progenitor and quantum theory's greatest critic. So there again, he's, history may show whether neither or both of these sets of ideas were right. Congratulations. This is where on my YouTube channel I used to do this. Congratulations. A journalist actually said something which they need to say more, which is they could be both wrong or both right, or one right or wrong. That's what needs to be said. In the meantime, the nature of space and time seems as good as a place to start as any. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's the idea of space, which is nothing, combined with the concept of time, which is a man-made concept that doesn't really exist. You're going to put them together, as Glenn Borkert says, and make something out of it. And then you draw them on, those fancy pictures that I showed earlier on. Oh my gosh. History makes you, okay, yeah. So that's good. In the meantime, the nature of space and time is as good a place to start as any. Okay, I said that. Physics works by the minimization of mysteries, and their current multiplication suggests that whatever we've got wrong, it's something pretty fundamental. Yay! Another, a clap and a thumbs up for saying those things in public. This is New Scientist. So Carol is far from alone in scratching around in this ballpark. Recently in these pages, theorist Lee Smolin, I know him. Hold on. Do I have this book around here? I'm sure I do. Lee Smolin. It's about... on my YouTube channel, I talk about this. He's the one who talks about the string theory is a really big problem, I believe, in that. Isn't that him? But anyways, Lee Smolin, yes, he is a known person to have written a book, Problem in Physics. And I think it's about the string theory. Don't quote me on that. So he's also a dissident. I would call him a halfway dissident there. So so he's talking about Lee Smolin detailed his work in similar conclusions, albeit from a very different starting point of trying to explain quantum theory's ineffability. Zoom further out in the realms of physics and the cognitive science, Donald Hoffman's idea suggests that space-time is just a powerful evolution. Whoa, wait a minute, here we go. Zoom further out the realms of physics and cognitive science, Donald Hoffman's ideas suggest that space and time are just powerful evolutionary illusions. Yeah, well, philosophically, I guess you could say that. But, interesting. Whether any of these ideas are right or indeed necessary remains to be seen. But remember, similar concerns swirled around Einstein's ideas at the time. That's the end of that. So, it's what we get is sort of a mixed bag of people who write articles with these clickbait titles, and sometimes you get it like this is a little bit more. I'm seeing more cracks. I do believe we are seeing more cracks in the mainstream physics. They are talking about getting rid of general relativity, but that's pretty interesting. So what do we have now? We're at 1 hour and 30 minutes of pure chaos today, not as organized and as clean, and I do apologize. We have, of course, Franklin Hugh. If you're wondering where he is and why we're doing this, is I'm sort of the one who's spearheading trying to do this and use this system. works pretty well. I think it's going to work. We just need to understand that the people who are hosting it need to have a pretty good computer. But I think the idea is to bring more people, and if we do this, and of course, Franklin is much more elegance in doing doing these things than I do. I'm sort of rambling here. Dave, dark matter does not exist. Of course. Yep, I agree. This is Dennis Allen Jr. Let me put that up. Again, if you guys could get into, hold on. If you guys can get into Facebook or YouTube, then I could put those up easily, but that's okay. Let me create a banner and put that up there. Dennis Allen. And maybe you can, if you want to speak. Oh, there's only so much I can put on it. Dark matter does not exist. It just, okay. Let me read it. I was going to try to add it to it, but the banners don't show up all of those things. Let me go to private chat and I'll bring you up. You're there, right, Dennis? Let's just hold on. I'll read it. It says, David, dark matter does not exist. It just conjured up to get some more miles out of Einstein's general relativity until GRT people retire and die. Okay. I'll bring you up here. Hey, there you are. Thanks, Dennis, for your comment.
The whole thing revolves around money nowadays.
Absolutely.
I mean, Romer, who used to start everything out basically with celestial, and he had his own way of looking. He believed in Newton's absolute space.
Right.
In Scientific Physics by J.P. Wesley, he devotes chapter 1, and it starts out with what SRT really should be. It should start with absolute space, and then Newton's absolute space. And then he started with Romer, who looked at either the moons of Jupiter or Saturn. I think Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
They're both huge.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they have a lot of moons. And they would eclipse, they would go into the shadow of the planet, whether Jupiter or Saturn, I can't remember. And he would do this for different times of the year when the Earth was in different positions around the sun. And he figured out that there was absolute space because he could detect the direction that the Earth was moving, the solar system. The Earth is, of course, revolves around the sun, but the sun is moving so much faster through absolute space than the Earth is moving relative to the sun, you can neglect it for all practical purposes. And at the end of chapter 1, he has a table, all these different experiments, the Marinoff chopped light experiment, the Marinoff coupled mirror experiment, Romer's experiments, Bradley's experiments, and so on. And they all pretty much match up. Considering that this book was written in 2002, it wasn't near high tech as it is now. But Romer used to have to go up on the roof of his house and strap a telescope to his chimney, which must have been awfully sooty, and to get these observations. And he didn't know if it'd be cloudy or whatever. Nobody paid him for it either. That's why things are in such bad shape nowadays with respect to integrity. There's too much money involved in science now.
Sorry, getting rid of the controls. Absolutely. It is really amazing to me that they don't even look. You'd think that with the idea of, especially with dark matter, that people would say, even if you were a student and you were a critical thinker and you first learn about dark matter, you're going to say to yourself, it sounds fishy already. Why is it dark? Is there and I think one of the things that you're saying about money and those kinds of things, and I know James is also talking about it. It's much more lucrative to go after something like dark matter. You can win Nobel Prizes. You can build experiments.
Stanford has got this huge Stanford's got this hugely expensive experiment to detect dark matter indirectly. And they don't really care if they detect it or not, because they're getting 5 or 10% off the top, and the thing is, at least, I believe, is at least $1 billion, and no doubt counting.
Yeah, no,
So what do they care? Bring in the money.
I know, and I think it's so ironic, Dennis, when you say this. Dark matter is already super suspect just by the name, and then you say they're going to now indirectly detect it. I mean, how absurd! I mean, you've got an absurdity already, and you pile on another absurdity. It reminds me of the neutrino, which Dr. Karazani showed very clearly that it was the application of special relativity to radioactive or decay cases that caused people to invent a neutrino. And if you go to Wikipedia to see the photo on Wikipedia from neutrino, what you see is a path. And then you read underneath it, and this is right, that's a big picture that shows it says, this is a muon that used to be a neutrino or something like that, because they can't detect it directly.
Yeah.
And so how is it that we have these, it's so convenient, because the idea is if you come up with a very simple, very workable model for the universe, if somebody does, you can't sell mystery. I can't sell myself an expert.
You can't make a system of myths out of it, like Greek mythology. You can't make something like the Aeneid, the Roman. I believe that was the Roman one, about how Rome was founded and so on. And it's a bunch of it's a myth, but it's very it sells,
Yeah, it is. And I'm also saying here, I'm going to take you down. Thank you so much for the comments. I'm going to bring you down here. I am seeing, because what happened is I disconnected from the stream and I had to reconnect. So I'm seeing here live on YouTube that there's quite 8 people there, which is quite good. I don't if people have not done YouTube live, 8 people. I know after I did only a couple of months that I had up to 15 people, but that's quite a going to go through and try to do apologize. Normally these would show up in the comments, but because still is in beta. It is beta, folks. It's not for sure fixing it. I'm not seeing these like I should in the comment areas. So I am going to go back here and see what we're talking about. Go back some here. One of the people are saying that keep up the work, of course, on the using the system. It's different from Fuse, but let's keep going. I think that's really good. I really appreciate that. But we have people discussing that. It says, no link, strictly my views are based on effort. Oh, that's Cornelius. Super Fin guy, by the way. Do you have any links on the tension wave theory? Oh, they're talking amongst themselves. Hey, Super Fin guy. If you guys have any questions, I will look at them here right now. I apologize if there's a question that you want to retype in, those people on YouTube. Maybe Franklin, you can take a look at Facebook. Again, these should be coming through. Normally they do. We did test it, but because I disconnected, I think when I connect back, I don't get to see that. That's probably a bug in their software right now. Let's see. Since all particles are resonant patterns in space, they absorb. Okay, they're talking about sort of a conversation going on. To absorb much energy, they become charged patterns. So that's a person who is looking at some real physical substance for space-time. So all right, so I'm going to make sure I keep this on, taking a look at it too. But let me go on to one more article, and I think we'll call it a day. Actually, I think this kind of forum where we do look at articles, I think Franklin's like, let's get out of here. Dave, quit talking. But I do want to try to get this all the way through, because we want to put a full version through here. I'm going to take a look at one more, and then we'll talk, but maybe about how this goes, because I think actually I'm going to leave that for the end. I do have an idea about what we can do, maybe more regularly on this channel, like what we're doing now, because I think people would be interested. A lot of times when we talk about just our stuff, they sort of get lost. But okay, if there's one, oh, I know. How about on the Google News article there and physics? Again, let me put that up there. I believe it's still there. Yeah. So I'm going to put that up on the screen. If there's anything there, one of those articles you want to look at, people in YouTube, is there? I'm as particle guru, so you can see me there. Any article specifically you want to maybe look at? We can take a look at that. What are some of them? I'm logged in as my father. I help him with this stuff, so I can do that. It's let's take a look at it again. I'm just looking at them. Black hole at the center of our galaxy appears to be getting hungrier. Yeah, it's okay. Quantum physics is fine. Human biases about is really the problem. Yeah, we looked at that. What I was wrong. What I was wrong about physics. Now that one looks interesting. Can physicists rewrite the origin story of the universe? Not interested in the Big Bang stuff. We've got lots of people here that, the Big Bang is a big problem. But I may take a look at what, again, Forbes, what I was wrong about physics. And it says a month ago, someone wrote an unusual blog. And it says, a friend of mine was talking about of which public intellectuals change their mind and which do not. It turns out that most don't seem to. Oh, this is interesting. So he's talking about the stubbornness of people to be critical thinkers and say, maybe we could be wrong, is what I'm guessing. To be frank, I don't count myself as a public intellectual. This is interesting for those who, again, let me put up something here. If you want to see my latest video was on, I will do a shameless plug for myself. If you go to youtube.dissidentscience.com, I highly recommend subscribing to my channel. It's very interesting because I come up with usually 10-minute, completely scripted graphics and everything, very well written, in my opinion. If you go to there and you look at my last video, it's intellectuals versus critical thinkers. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's up this alley here. It says, it says, to be frank, I don't count myself as a public intellectual, but since some people have a much looser criteria than I do, I thought I'd review things. I've changed my mind on since 2002 when I started writing on the internet. Oh, that's interesting. So this guy's going to tell him. This in turn has led to an episode of Rationality Speaking podcast where this guy and the host of somebody else over some of these points in more detail. Okay, so they're talking about that. This struck me as an interesting exercise. So the idea this person is going to, and that is actually quite an interesting exercise. If you guys are science lovers and you want to think about what have you guys changed? I mean, I've had aha moments myself. The infinity from Glenn Borker was a huge aha moment. Yonel Deneu's underwater experiments was a huge aha moment. And then my father's his solution to the particle wave duality, that was another aha moment. So those are certainly changed in my mind. And talked about energy as sort of a thing, and now I know it's not. It's a concept. So I'm going to steal this idea. In this post, I'll talk about a bit of topics of physics where I've changed my mind since original blog launched in 2002. Probably the most significant shift in my thinking about physics specifically, and in these days, I have much more positive opinion about many worlds' interpretation of quantum physics. Oh, he had me until he had that. Listen to what he says. Oh, gosh. Oh, well. Probably the most significant shift in my thinking about physics specifically is that these days I have much more positive opinion about the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics. I don't know that would be officially declare myself an Everettian, I'm still more of a shut up and calculate guy by temperament, but I see the appeal now in many ways that I didn't before. When I first encountered the many world interpretation, I basically the same negative reaction to a lot of other physicists. It seems needless, baroque to have all these parallel universes. That's a really strange sentence. This guy really just says this. They live in a bubble. They really do. I mean, listen to this. It seems needlessly baroque, meaning old, really old, to have these parallel universes being spawned every time there's a binary choice in a particle interaction. Man, this is like voodoo stuff, folks. This is like shamans. This is like me getting up and how can people, are they to the point where they're living in such a fantasy world? There's just no, think of the absurd physicality you have going along with this. Where in the heck are they going to be able to talk about the physicality of any of this? This is like Harry Potter. You can invent anything you want. Wow. Parallel universes being spawned every time there's a binary choice in a particle interaction. Remember what I was talking about, that choice of a particle going around? This is the same thing. It's philosophical BS. Sorry to say that. What changed my mind was writing a book on quantum physics. Yeah, of course. Because if you want to sell to people who want to read it, you don't want to say quantum physics is a bunch of baloney. Because no one will, you'll interview anybody who's famous, nobody who has a famous magazine will publish you, and you'll end up in our organization. So, does anybody want to say anything, comments? I just want to make sure. Private chat, is there anybody saying something there? Us shamans take exception with that comment, Toby. Okay, but it's funny, I see his hand over I don't know what's happening with Toby there. He is there, but I don't know if he wants to speak or if he wants to say anything. David, yes, people are live in alternative reality. See the book Freedom from Reality. Oh yeah, that's Dennis saying that. Okay. Toby, did you want to say anything or hello? I can try to bring you up. I don't know. I see you coming in and out. I think you're on your phone, which does work, but we're almost wrapping it up here. He's coming in and out. It could be his connection till I see him up further. But yeah, alternative reality, absolutely. See the book Freedom from Reality. Okay. All right, Toby, he's coming in and out. Maybe I can bring you up, but you won't be seen necessarily. There you are. Hey, Toby.
Yes, hi.
Hey, I'm sorry. I see you coming in and out, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on a phone and I'm in the house, and so it's a wireless connection. So maybe.
No, it's working perfectly fine.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't have any comment. Just listening. Just appreciating the comments.
Oh, okay. But I do appreciate you coming, and thank you for tolerating this new stuff. But it's pretty easy to join in. Once we get it, if we get good computers, it'll work out. But thank you so much. I'll drop you off here because we're going to be wrapping up. So I'm going to bring Franklin, if you want to come up. We can probably end this. I think there's like 10 minutes left. People hear me or glitched there. Franklin, there you go. I'm going to bring you back up.
Yeah,
hey,
so
Franklin.
It's been interesting to go up on these articles. I mean, I suppose I had some comments of my own that, that first article is all about trying to convince people that you can discard logic in your science. And if you suspend, logic, and you can believe in quantum physics. And that article is just trying to convince us to do that, because otherwise it's a horrible embarrassment that they cannot figure out how certain things work. The article was actually fairly detailed. It brought up like two specific experiments, like the Stern-Gerlach experiment.
On him.
And I think it's just a matter of people trying to solve how those things work without invoking magic. So, like with the Stern-Gerlach experiment, they have the ion beam splits into two things, and they say, just classically, that can't be explained.
Right.
But maybe it can be classically explained, because what's going through
Sure.
a Stern-Gerlach experiment is actually a stream of silver ions, not a stream of electrons. So it's kind of hard to assign an inherent property to an electron when you're looking at something which consists of protons, electrons, and neutrons, actually a very large object. I mean, me personally, I think that the atom itself basically kind of acts like an atom, which is accepted, and the silver ion is asymmetric. So as soon as it enters the magnetic field, it will pick a direction, and as soon as it does, it's going to get immediately dragged up north, immediately dragged down south, and that could classically explain what's going on, rather than saying that these electrons have these spins and things like that. That just seems kind of problematic. And there was also that thing about the slit experiment, where there's things that look like interference, but it could be just that the areas which are light are just literally the areas where fewer electrons are hitting the screen, versus the darker ones, which is just more electrons, not doing actual wave interference. But then you would just have to explain, why is it that the electrons are choosing to do that? And you could possibly explain that by saying that the space is quantized and electrons can only move in like integer distances. And I think that's fairly clear from just like the spectral experiments, showing that when you excite atoms, the light that comes out of them is very, very discrete. And that's just showing that the electrons can only move in very discrete steps. And that effect, along with the interaction with the walls of the slit, may be contributing to that. So like I said, that's just another example of some alternate explanation that we can provide that doesn't appeal to our need to invoke magic, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I like that. I use Harry Potter all the time, because basically, I tell people, especially if they're lame persons, I mean, you yourself, Franklin, especially you've been exposed to so much over the last 2 years doing these video conferencing, is that you start to see and you can understand. And I tell people, I said, look, what they're doing is they're creating all the rules. I say, when you watch a Harry Potter movie, they have all these rules, right? There's rules for spells. There's rules for the way things act. If you play even fantasy games, they all have their rules, and they build these rules in, and they make sense. And you can predict things with that. You can even play games in that realm, but they're not real, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that that's physics. The difference is that we're not, you just can't make up stuff and make magical properties. Even like charge, you can put a plus and a minus on some, say they're going to attract, but in the end, you're going to have to give physicality for it. So yeah, I mean, they're absolutely making it up. But I think I'm really surprised. I want to thank, first of all, Franklin, for you over the years doing all this. I'm just coming in and sort of barging in with this new technology. But again, for those people who are here, I did mention this to Franklin, and we're going to wrap up here, is that two of the reasons we're going here is, number one, it's going to open up this kind of forum that you guys have been doing for quite a while. And I do have a suggestion also to help on that as well. We have people, and I'm going to suggest, I think, two things that we'll do here, just a suggestion. But and the second reason is because Fuse has become expensive. We have a budget of only thousands of dollars a year from our memberships and from our proceedings, which we have to use to do what goes on. We do get money from conferences, but most of that goes to the conference. And so we paid $300 to $400 for the Fuse system. And it's great until all of a sudden I was getting emails every month for $44 charge. They go, oh, by the way, there's it's Tuesday with a full moon fee, with the left elbow's hurting fee, and these fees that they're sort of making up. And like many things on the internet, they'll start out cheap, get you hooked, and then they start trying to push it Then they find they push it too much. They start losing people. Well, I've decided that that's just getting way too expensive, because $44 a month translates into $480 on top of $300, almost talking $1,000 for having the chat. So the idea here is not only to save us money, because this will only cost us $200 a year for StreamYard, and then $200 and some a year from our Restream. What good about Restream means is the reason we are today have the ability to use StreamYard and go to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. We can actually go to one more, is because we're subscribed to StreamYard, and instead of streaming directly to only one place, we're streaming to Restream, which restreams it out there, which is really great. And the idea is for us that what Franklin has been leading quite competently for the last couple of years, is what we want to do is we want to get it out there. We want to grow. We've only been amongst ourselves, amongst our own same 960 people on the email, which actually is growing, but we lose people because a lot of people are older, and we actually lose their emails because they're leaving the world, as you could say. And so we are sort of growing, but we're not getting more people. I believe having this on in this way, they're going to bring in more and more people. And so one of the things I would like to suggest to you guys, who I am sort of invading your space today, are two things. Number one is we continue to try to line up speakers. And this is going to be a challenge, because obviously we're going to need a little bit better computers, because this is going through a browser. And I know that Franklin and I don't have the most souped up computers. And so we're going to have to figure out how to do that. But I think, Franklin, and this is just my opinion, I'd like to throw it out there today, and that's why I wanted to do this. If I'm a person coming in who's interested, like a critical thinker even, what we talk about can be interesting, but a lot of times it doesn't always grab us. So what I was thinking is maybe for the sort of open topics, we can do what we just did, and that is address what people are saying. So assume I always think of myself on the social media. So I'm out there, I'm one of those people who are a little skeptical, and I'm a critical thinker, and I'm going along, and all of a sudden I stumble upon a live feed like this. And that live feed, they're talking about topics that are today, like we did today. We went through and talked about them and gave them our point of view. Now, I did this in the beginning of my YouTube channel quite a bit, and it was quite popular. And I did live YouTube, but it was directly with YouTube, not with a system like this. So one of the suggestions I would have for the community who's here often, Franklin, would be to have either divide it in pieces, or at least until we get our presentation down with this new medium with slides and being able to do it, because I'm fearful right now that maybe this medium is not as easy with a computer. That is, we got to get somebody with a really good computer so that we can share screens and it doesn't bog down. That's really my computer, and being 32-bit, I don't even have 64-bit because I'm a programmer and I need to program in 32-bit at times. So one suggestion would be is to make it a part of, instead of the open topic, to take the latest headlines of today and talk about them. I think that would bring in people, and besides having people come and talk. Do you see the kind of idea that is, Franklin, or what do you think? And other people too. I'm watching here the chat. So,
well, I thought that was very interesting. The Google News. I was actually, Yahoo used to have basically a kind of site like that, and I also monitor another magazine. Although the Google site is news to me, that there's an actual specific physics site with those articles. I thought that was actually fairly interesting. So I was thinking of doing that, but I just never had a source like that, because they conglomerate all the other articles from everywhere else.
Right.
Rather than just being kind of limited to one spot or someone's editorial opinion of what's an interesting article. So So certainly, that's something that I've been wanting to do, but just hadn't really found a good source of articles.
Sure.
So that's a good thing.
Okay, so I think we're coming up on to an hour here. We're at 12 noon. And again, I want to thank everybody here who participated today. It really means, it made my day hearing people supporting the directions I'm trying to push. I'm not doing any of this because it has zero power play. Believe me, I, like all of you, would love to just have this available. I've chosen to help out because I can do that, and I have my pulse on it. And with my YouTube channel, I'm learning a heck of a lot of what makes things grow. I'll give you just a real brief example of how my YouTube has been growing recently, just to give you an idea of how I know we can pinpoint it. There are two things have made my YouTube channel grow in the last month tremendously. And they've been two videos only. One video was on Sabina Hoffenfelder and her book, because she started a YouTube channel and her stuff is going viral. And because people are looking at her channel and type in that, they go, oh, you just watch one of hers. Oh, here's one by Dave DeHilster on the same subject. And how did I get it? I'm not even sure it's in the title. It's in the tags of that. That is, I go in there and I put everything I can down with that video so people find you. So what happens is when we do these, we got to make sure that when we get these videos in, we type everything we can to attract people toward us. The other one I get a lot is from the Electric Universe. I am not an Electric Universe aficionado myself, but I made a very nice YouTube saying, look, we all have to support each other. You have the absolute right, and we should support people's right to come up with a different idea of how the universe works. That is our problem. Our problem isn't whether the Electric Universe is right or wrong. Our problem is we don't applaud people for trying new visions of that. And that because of that, they have a big YouTube channel that a year ago passed 100,000. They're at 150,000 people. I'm at 2,200. Predicted in 1 year's time, I'm going to be reaching 10,000. When you get those kind of people and those numbers, we can bring people to our platform. So the idea here is this platform we're using today, we want to try to, all we have to do is adjust. Franklin had many times where he didn't have a speaker. Where do I go? Well, maybe I helped him out by pointing to something that I use and he can now use. So, and not only that, what makes that really interesting is that the people who stumble upon us in a live session, you don't stumble upon Fuse. You got to download Fuse. You got to find it. You got to get an email. You got to go to our website. People who are going through the videos are going to go, oh, I came across this video because now, Franklin, you don't have to upload this to YouTube. And even the video on Facebook, that is now there. People can search. They'll get to it. They'll find us and they'll go, oh, I'll subscribe to that and put the little bell. And I suggest that all of you, I tell this to people, but they don't do it. How many people here today are subscribed to our YouTube channel, the CNPS YouTube channel, and put the little bell next to it? How many? If you haven't, you should, and tell other people to do it. And also to mine, this is in science, to my father's, to Jeff Yee's. All of these things help. So what I would suggest is I'm going to work with Franklin. Franklin's going to take this over next week. He and I will do a session, and I'm going to show him everything he needs to know. The only thing that Franklin, and I can see that you and I have to work on is our computers are not, 8-core, PCs running, at cooled gigahertz level. So we need to figure out how we can use this. But I'm happy to say that I see that people are supporting this, and I'll be glad and be happy. I'm going to be handing this over to Franklin to do this next week. And we do need to work on how we can do this with a presentation. It can be done, but is our computers are strong enough to do that? That could be a problem. And we may have to stick to, like what I did today is sort of, here's the link, go to it, and let's all talk about it. But it's still, I think it's very engaging and very interesting. So, okay. Any questions or comments? I know that people have been on Is Facebook running? Did you check that?
Yes, Facebook is running. I don't know that we've got any viewers on Facebook. Most people seem to be on YouTube.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the reason for people who want to know. I will tell you the exact reason for that is that YouTube, it is on Facebook. I just went to Facebook and I'm watching it live here. There's one person on it, me. Is that what happens is if they are subscribed on Facebook to the channel, they'll see it. You're not going to have people going to Facebook to search for what they like to look at. That happens in YouTube. So that's going to happen much more in YouTube. So Facebook will get up there. I've seen pages literally have 15,000 people on a live Facebook's page, but that's because we need to grow our Facebook page. And this is why I tell people, link, spread the word, etc. But it'll happen. So
also join the John Chappell Natural Philosophy Society at naturalphilosophy.org. You can get on our email list, and we use MailChimp to announce what the topics are going to be for the Saturday Science Chats. So if you want to stay informed, join us and we'll put you on our email list.
Right. We have it there. It says right there, naturalphilosophy.org. Also check out our Science Woke. What really works well, and I will tell you another thing, and I'm trying to educate our population at the CNPS how to do this. Science Woke is the best link to use when you are trying to get it out there in Facebook or on anywhere, even YouTube, wherever you are. Facebook specifically, pick out an article or just send it there. I do this all the time. I am one of the top contributors to Albert Einstein's Facebook page, by the way, which is losing on the average 700 likes a day. It is actually descending in popularity. But when I put a link to one of the articles on Science Woke, I say, hey, if you think that Einstein's right, well, a lot of people don't think so. Go to this webpage, which we have one webpage which has all the articles about Einstein being wrong. And I send people there. I watch the views go up on our website when we do that. I hit one so big that we hit over 1,000 views in a day. So please cut and paste, use Science Woke as our gateway into it. And once you become into our community, you go to Science Natural Philosophy, you can pay your dues, you can participate in our conferences, etc. And like Franklin said, you will get emailed, you subscribe to our email list, and you will be told what's going on. So please, please, please become social media savvy. All right, folks, thank you so much. Again, I'm going to stop this broadcast. I really do appreciate it. We're going to use this. And I will say, Franklin, once we get a hang of this, I do plan to try, once we're going well, once we've got the kinks straightened out about this, I do plan to turn on the stream to my YouTube channel to go live, and then we're going to be accessing probably by that time almost 3,000 people. And I'm going to get a lot of people from the other side who haven't been here, and I want to maybe host that day so I can get them over to this. And I'm thinking what we could do on that day, Franklin, would be to get an interesting speaker that I think would be interesting to the audience I have, and hey, maybe people jumping over on our side. So it's called cross-pollination. So I'm not going to do that yet because we're still, new to this. So, all right.
All right.
Thank you so much, everybody. And thanks for your kind words and support. Take care. We'll see you next week. And Franklin will be doing this. It'll be much more organized than me rambling here. He's much better at it. Thank you, Franklin.
All right. Thank you.